Elon is like doubling down on no aliens, which is funny to me because he's like,
no aliens.
He's like, well, he told Rogan a long time ago that there's no aliens. He's never seen any proof. And well, that's my theory. And now recently he's saying that no Starlink has ever had to dodge any type of UFO. So I'm curious, do we trust this? Or is this proof of that they're just not from space and it's interdimensional?
How often do we trip over anthills?
Depends where I'm at.
We don't. I mean, surely if you're in Africa, you might find one of those really big ones you might want to avoid.
Right.
But to an alien that is beyond our scientific capabilities, seeing a rock floating through space is negligible. Why would it?
Yeah.
Why would it trip over it? To be fair, his point is they've never had to dodge. Is that what he says? Dodge it.
I think he says dodge.
And we do kick over anthills quite a bit.
Right.
So, I suppose the argument then is if there are aliens, they're intentionally making sure they don't disturb. But that's also kind of like if there was a beehive, you wouldn't mess around with it because you wouldn't want to cause yourselves the attention. Right.
And I guess Kevin's call also made me think of this. A lot of people out at military bases claim to have seen things, and then the theory is that we're being observed because these other beings want to see what type of power we have. There's stories of them visiting like missile launches, stuff like that, and also sightings like this spike in times of strife. During lockdowns, there were so many people reporting things. That also could have been because we're just home and bored and we're seeing things, and we're also freaked out psychologically by the fear ritual taking place. But you could also, the Cold War, there was a spike in sightings.
There's something I like to do when I'm driving with people on road trips. I'm on the highway, vast stretch of nothingness in the Great Plains, and I will see a cell phone tower. And I will ask the person with me, what do you see right now? And they'll go, what, where? And I'll be like, look out on the road. What do you see? And they're like, nothing. And I'm like, okay, there's grass, there's road, there's sky, and there's clouds. What else do you see? And they're like, nothing. And we're coming up on it, and I'll say, you don't see anything. And they'll be like, no, what are you talking about? And I'll say, you don't see the giant cell phone tower that's been right in our field of vision for the past 3 minutes? And they go, oh, wow. Well, yeah, I didn't even notice.
Right.
People don't notice cell phone towers, and especially the ones they disguise. I love this phenomenon because it's akin to the story of Christopher Columbus when he was first coming to the Americas. And he's in the Caribbean. The natives could not see the ships on the horizon because their brains did not comprehend it as anything.
Right.
And as the story goes, the elder sitting on the beach looking at the waves noticed something was wrong and looked up from the waves and sat there staring, and then eventually went, that's a very big boat.
Right.
And then started telling everybody, look, you see that thing? And they'll be like, no, what are you talking about? Just like with the cell phone tower.
Yep.
I wonder with COVID, the reason why so many more sightings happen is that people's time had been freed up. And for the average person who's walking down the street and not paying attention, they don't even notice the cell phone tower they're driving past. We all know what a cell phone tower is.
Right.
Yeah.
So if something was weird or in your periphery, you're thinking, I got to get to work. I got 20 minutes for lunch.
Yep.
COVID happens and everyone's just eyes open, bored, nothing going on. They start noticing things.
That's why I think we're in a existential renaissance post-COVID, because people had time to understand lots of new things, whether it's the government lying to you or having time to see things they didn't see before. And now once you see that one thing, it's like a domino effect with your perception. And all of a sudden, you're open to all these new things in your reality that you weren't open to before, which is what I meant in the beginning with Inverted World, and when we first talked about Inverted World, you told me the story of, I think it was skating you saw on a wall, right? Can you share that real quick? Because that's kind of like the whole origin story of the title Inverted World for you.
I was sitting at a cafe in New York, and I'm sitting at a counter facing the window, Starbucks. Across the street, there is a beige painted wall of some building, and there were black streaks making a mini rainbow.
Right.
I instantly know what that is. Those are called wall ride marks. When a skateboarder jumps and drags their board along the wall to ride on it, it creates those streaks.
Right.
And then I realized, 99.9% of people would see those streaks and they wouldn't even notice the streaks were there.
Right.
if I sat down and said, look at that wall, what do you see? Nobody would say, I see black streaks. They'd say, well, I see a wall. What do you see on the wall? They'd be like, I don't know. And then if I said, do you see the black streaks? They go, oh yeah, of course. It doesn't register in their mind as something to point out.
Right.
And then if I asked them what it was, they'd say, I don't know. And so that's when I realized that we don't just live in the world. The world is an infinitely layered of all of these sub-dimensions, these inner worlds that some people cannot see. So when a skateboarder, for instance, sees a shipping distribution center, they don't see a bunch of trucks. They see how many stairs there are, how many rails there are. They see how high the loading dock is from the ground. Yep. The average person doesn't notice these things.
Right. We all see what we want to see and however it fits in our box.
Yeah, exactly. I was a furniture mover for 10 years, and I still see box trucks and loading areas and certain sized elevators in a different way. Other people would, because I knew like, oh, I could fit a bed frame in this one. I can't, or you know, billiards table and stuff. It was funny when you brought up the title Inverted World to me. You told me that story, and I said that's really weird because for the past year I've been using the phrase inverted world and things I've been writing about how society seemed like it flipped upside down. Good's evil, evil is good. You know, in the way they sell it in society. And that's something I never really thought about in terms of that phrase. So I was like, that is the perfect title.
Yeah, the way I saw it was there's the surface world.
Yep.
Which is the shared reality we all talk about.
Yeah.
When you say something like there is a cafe, and then the best part is Los Angeles, because when you know, you know. In Los Angeles, there's hidden oil pumps all over the city.
Really?
Yeah. And so there are fake buildings, and as soon as someone tells you this, you start thinking about it, you are now in this inverted version of reality.
Yep.
There is the shared reality of everyone imagining Los Angeles buildings, urban sprawl.
Yep.
And then the people who have been informed now can see it.
Yep.
There was I don't know exactly where, but Google search hidden oil pumps of Los Angeles. There was like a church, and it has this massive steeple of sorts. And instantly, anybody who knows what the hidden oil pumps, you're like, that's an oil pump.
Incredible.
Made to look like a building.
Right.
There are... these buildings are totally fake. They'll look boarded up, and then you'll look them up online, and there's nothing there,
right?
Because they build a shell over the oil pumps and hide them. Yeah, super wild. And then I think this is in the UK actually. There's a fake building because there's two houses, and then in between them, it's the London Underground. I think it's London.
Okay.
And so if you're in the building, to the left of you of the wall, it's nothing. But if you walk out the front door and look to your left, it's a wall of buildings. They created a fake facade so that no one can see the train is actually running through the neighborhood like that.
Perfect metaphor for the reality. And I grew up at the bottom of a landfill, and it's a beautiful hill now because it's capped. It's true. It's capped, so it looks like a hill. But you know, when a landfill is capped, it has these kind of like candy cane looking things that come out for the methane to leak out of. You know, most people come to my house when I grew up and be like, oh, it's a beautiful hill. I'm like, that's actually a landfill that's got a skin of grass on top of it that's actually trash beneath it.
And they golf on it now.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But then I can travel anywhere now and be like, that's a landfill. I immediately know, like, that's not a hill, that's a landfill.
But think about how crazy that is that when you watch TV or watch a movie or watch a video, you are seeing surface level of reality.
Yes.
And every person knows something someone else doesn't that allows them to see beyond that layer.
Right.
Like the coffee cup in Game of Thrones.
You're talking when they left that one cup in by accident. Yeah. Or there's a I think Wesley. Shout out to Wesley. Sent me a picture recently of a person on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that Jim Henson helped produce back in the day. There's a guy in the background of the room who shouldn't be there. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. And you look for it. You know to look elsewhere. But who's our next caller?
Sure, we got Chris, I believe, coming in.
Sweet.
Chris, sorry that was. Are you there? Are you
What's
with
up,
us?
Chris?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool.
How are you?
Bane, how are you?
I am good. Thank you for calling in. What strange things have you encountered in this dark and wonderful world?
Thank you, Tim and Alex, for having me on the show.
No, thank you.
For telling my story of my friend.
Yeah.
Where do I start? Back in April of 2011, April 22nd, my friend, a good friend of mine, he was at Universal Studios, and he got into a ruckus with the cops. You know, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but they tased him to death.
Oh my God.
And that morning, now my friend was in Florida, obviously, the University. He's from Detroit. I'm right outside Detroit. And that morning, I got sleep paralysis for the first time. And the weirdest thing about it was when I woke up, I couldn't move, but someone was holding my hand.
Wow.
It was just so odd. Like, why would I feel like this? And I was able to, when I got to be able to move, I noticed that there was a message on my phone. I checked it. It was my buddy's, his name's Adam Spencer Johnson, by the way. If you want to look up his story, that you have to use his whole name. There was a message on my phone from his fiance. And she had told me that, you know, he had passed and all that stuff. And, you know, obviously devastating. But, you know, that was the first paranormal experience. And I didn't really equate that with Adam's death. I just thought it was odd. And then several years later, I think it was August of 2017. You know, I got to say, I don't put a lot of weight on dreams, but this dream was very unusual. We were in a bedroom, and now me and Adam used to play a bunch of video games, but mostly we played SOCOM, a lot of SOCOM too. In his room, we'd have TV set up, we'd be hooked up online, and we were playing a video game in his room, or the room that we were in my dream. And it was a game that has never been out, and we were having a blast. And the room was done up like the best fanboy room ever. It had great movie posters, all the cool movies you ever wanted, and it had just an unusual light coming into the bedroom. It was a real white light. You know, it sounds cliche, but coming into the window, and you would think it would like be blindingly bright, but it wasn't. It was comforting. And then all of a sudden I realized, you know, Adam's dead. And I looked at him, I said, Adam, do you know you're dead? And he just looked at me and he said, yeah, Chris, it's okay. And it was just weirdly comforting. But as soon as he said that, I got sucked out of my dream, you know, back into reality. And that dream haunted me, you know, for lack of a better word. And it wasn't like a dream. Like I said, I don't put any weight on dreams, but there was a reality to that dream that just stuck with me. And
when you say it haunted you,
years, you know, I've thought many times about that dream.
When if you don't mind me asking, when you say it haunted you, did you not find any comfort in it from seeing your friend, or that you could carry into your life and thinking about things like death? Or was it like the image of him that haunted you, that you could talk to someone that you know is dead?
No, the comforting like made me feel like there's like he's okay, even though he was tragically murdered, that he's okay, and it's okay to be dead. The haunting was like, the experience was like, wow, that was so real. Like I just, it almost wasn't a dream, you know?
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks ago, close to his birthday, I think this is Tuesday the 23rd in April, and close to his death day too, I had another dream. And again, like I said, no weight on these dreams. But he used to like to tag things. He was like a bit of a vandal. And, you know, we would go around and he would spray paint his tag PAO for POW, and he would use the PlayStation buttons as the P, you know, the square, but it had a stick on it. The A was a triangle. The O was the PlayStation circle. And we were in his red Escort that he had forever that would go around all the time. And he loved adventures too. He'd be like, we're going on an adventure. And so in this dream, we were riding around in his car, getting out of it, tagging things. And this dream seemed like it lasted forever, like days. And he was the biggest movie fan buff I've ever known in my life. And while we were driving around we were going through movie sets and stuff. And again, that light was back too. And so it was really weird, but fun. I was having a great time. And again, it hit me. Adam, you're dead. You know? So I said this to him. And he says, yeah, Chris, it's okay. It's okay. And boom, I wake up again. And it was just like the last dream. Now, I've been dreaming for 43 years. So it's not like, you know, I'm used to weird dreams, but this dream, these two dreams, were particularly intense, particularly real, even though it wasn't real. It was like a dreamland, but
right. It's hard to, you know, it's obviously,
what's that?
It's obviously hard to know what exactly is happening in our dreams, but his death, well, it sounds haunting. Obviously your friend died in a tragic way, you said tased to death. I mean, it's a horrible thing. So your psyche's working that out, and or he is visiting you. I don't know. I as absurd as dreams can get, I do kind of sometimes take stock in them. I think they're sometimes like a portal to God, you know, but they're absurd poems basically that you kind of have to decipher yourself. But I think it's rather beautiful that you saw your friend, as haunting as it is.
You know, there's something I left out in the message to you, the email to you.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me after I wrote it to you. There was the night he had died. And this was told to me after I met his fiance. She came back up to Michigan. We had a talk about Adam. And the night he had died, she had gone to his sister's house. So this is sometime in the morning. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, they're upset, they're crying, and his sister's kids woke up. And they asked why they're crying, and they're trying to convey to some toddlers that their uncle had passed away. And one of the kids said, "No, Uncle Adam's right out there next to the tree," because they saw him in the backyard standing next to the tree. Again, it is what it is, but maybe he is communicating. I mean, he was a prankster. He loved to do things odd. Mm-hmm. You know, and if he found a portal or a way, I think he would do that. He wasn't spiritual, but I think he would do that.
I like to think of it that way. Well, that's great. I really appreciate you calling in and sharing this story with us.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you wanting to hear my story and wanting to hear about my friend, you know?
Yeah, of course. It's honestly, it sounds cliche at times, but telling stories of those we lost is what keeps them alive. You know, that's why I like talking about the people I've lost in my life, and all the weird, strange things that have happened with them since they've passed. So I think it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to talk about. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, man.